Are you ready to lead with impact? Well, friend, you're in the right place. Today, you can join Carol Fairman and Dr. Guy Henry as they begin exploring what it means to lead with impact. So, pull up a chair, grab your coffee, a pen and paper, and get ready to have some deep conversations with Carol and Guy as they walk you through what it means to lead with impact. Welcome back to Lead with Impact with Dr. Guy Henry and Carol Fairman. Last time we got together, we were talking about leadership, the motivation behind your leadership, and your influence as a leader. Remember, we are leading everywhere we are. But this episode is going to take a really fun deep dive into exploring the four styles of leadership. And so, as we get ready to look at these four styles that I'll tell you about in a quick second, I want you to really listen and figure out, where do you fall in one of these categories? Can you immediately see yourself in one of these categories? And so Dr. Guy Henry is going to talk with us today about direct leadership, an inspirational leader, a supportive leader, or a contemplative leader. And so, Dr. Henry, I am really excited for you to start unpacking these for us today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because, and of course, we say four styles, and that's kind of a generality so that we can begin to identify. Because as we mentioned last time, we're all leaders. We all have influence. We all have the opportunity to motivate. But what's our style? And our style is
Yeah,
not necessarily what we learn, but what we've actually been born with. And so,
exactly.
of those four, we're going to cover two of those today, which is number one, that direct, more task-oriented kind of a leader that's just really direct. Um, they're very results focused. Okay. And as you mentioned, how can we begin to identify this particular style of leader that's a little bit more direct? They're about getting things done.
Right.
They're definitely laser focused on outcomes. And that, of course, makes them very highly effective at especially achieving goals, kind of hitting those time sensitive marks. They can be very decisive in terms of they got no problem making a decision. It
Mm,
just comes natural. When
right.
nobody wants to make a decision, this leadership style will make a decision. Uh, and
Exactly.
and that's great because it presents confidence and it portrays clarity and it helps
Mm,
people know exactly what is expected of them. It really inspires people to get things done and make it happen because again, they are very goal driven. And
mm,
and of course, this kind of trickles down to the team creating kind of a sense of, man, we got to have some resolve. We've got to get this thing
right.
done. And it is a style of motivation that doesn't necessarily motivate everyone, but people that want to get something done, they're going to really appreciate this leadership style. They can be a
Right.
little bit of authoritative. Um,
Yes.
if you
Yeah.
know who I mean, maybe you're thinking of somebody right now, they can be just a tad bit authoritative in
That
that
would be
leadership
me.
style. Yeah, but because they can and do almost by default, they prioritize the task. They know how to kind of know what is the first thing and what's the next thing. And they have a tendency of just kind of putting things in order real quick.
Right.
And we probably have the time to tell the story, but there used to be a gentleman that I worked with in Honduras, and we'd have to go to the city. We were all over the place. And didn't we go by this place once? Yeah, but we were going to, I mean, for me, it's what's the next place in line. So if
Right.
that gives you any indication what may be my leadership style, I'd like to get things synchronized.
See, I'm the same way. It's like, let's get it done. And boy, it can be very challenging when you're working with a team that are more supportive or contemplative. And I've got a list, and I'm like, okay, we're going to get this done, and this done. But recognizing that just because that's how I function and function well doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean everyone in my team is able to function in that capacity. And so I really have to kind of figure out, how do I motivate that person that needs that I call them well, never mind. But I call my fragile S's those supportive, the supportive person. I call them fragile because they need that affirmation and need to be extra
Mhm.
loved. And so affectionately, I can say to my team because we've kind of got an idea of how our leadership styles come together. And if it's super urgent, I can say, I don't have time to put frosting on this for you. You're not
Oh
in
yeah,
trouble. You're not
yeah.
fired, but I just need you to get it done in an hour, right? And so
Yeah.
it's just sometimes you have to really meet people where they are. And so that self-awareness that we were talking about the last time we gathered, with that direct style, such as myself, I have to be self-aware. Otherwise, we're hurting people's feelings. We're not encouraging them to lead within their
Mhm.
own strengths for sure.
Sure, we have to develop that within ourselves. And number one is recognizing. Maybe today we'll
Yeah.
cover one of the ones that you're more like, but there are strengths, and of course those other frosting kind of people that you mentioned, they need that, but
Yeah.
it's how are we portraying that? Because
Yeah.
the direct leader has strengths, obviously, as we've already mentioned. They're valuable to create that environment that says this is
Mm,
required. We need to get it done, and there's some high stake outcomes, that are at
absolutely.
risk. And with that self-awareness, that learning how to articulate yourself, direct leaders can be very straightforward about their expectations. They generally don't leave you doubting what is needed.
Right.
Some other people can really almost find refreshing in
Right.
that because they know what's expected of them. They're not trying to figure it out. They really
Right.
like it, and a leader tells them, "This is what we have to do." And then they're very great at accountability. They
Right.
hold themselves, at a pretty high standard,
Oh, yeah.
raises everyone else's expectations of accountability, and
Exactly.
it kind of creates a culture of drive. Let's get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. Let the go, go, go. Let's get it done. Give me the list. Check, check, check.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Uh,
So,
yeah.
um, and so what are the strengths of that type of leader though? What would you say like the top maybe two, three strengths are for a direct leader?
Well, in general, effectiveness, or,
Mm,
especially in the area of productivity, very clear expectations. They don't,
mm,
um, yeah, when I say clear expectations, they're going to give you direction because, again, they're
right.
very direct. So they will give you directions. Um, I would say, I mentioned accountability, but remember,
Ah,
for every strength, there always tends to be a little bit of a lingering weakness.
right. And that was going to be my next question.
Okay. Well, so and I'd like to just remind everyone, we have a tendency to be discouraged when we recognize our weaknesses, but
Mm,
rather than being discouraged, what are they pointing us to that's actually a
excellent.
strength?
Yeah.
So rather than being discouraged about that weakness, let that be something that points you to your strength. But then when
Yeah.
you recognize that I am strong in this area, where am I easily weakened?
Excellent.
For example, this direct leader that we're talking about, a potential weakness, and I'll keep it, potential weakness, just to keep us all safe, right?
Right.
Um,
Oh, because I don't want you picking on me.
that's right, right? Well, they can tend to overlook the emotions, or maybe
Mm,
just in general the team morale. Be-
yes,
Because, right, they're so focused on the destination, focus
that's
on
right.
in the goal, focusing on the task.
I've been
Um,
called out.
yeah, they might struggle with the people side of leadership.
Yeah, I definitely have to work on that. I recognize that is definitely that weakness for me. Is just recognizing,
Hmm.
some of them they're so sensitive, or some that just need that extra time to absorb it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
And it's unintentional. It's not like the direct leader is out to just, sledgehammer everyone, but it's that self-awareness to consider
yeah,
what could be the emotional response or the feeling or maybe even the potential of leading a certain team member into a kind of like stress or burnout because it's like go
Mm,
go go go, and I
yeah.
need some people time, you know, uh, and so that can be a real potential weakness. And
Yeah.
I think another this would be has been one of mine is the risk of micromanaging is a potential
Yeah.
weakness. You know, they have such a high value on
Mm,
control, efficiency, that they end up just kind of really double dotting all the I's, if you will, just, you
right.
know, getting so trivial that, you know, within the team, sometimes they feel undervalued
Yeah,
because I can
that is,
never live up. They feel like I can never live up to that expectation. So that's a potential weakness.
yeah, that is a good one to point out. Those are some really great descriptors, strengths, weaknesses surrounding that direct personality, that direct
Mhm.
leader. What about the inspirational leader? What does that look like?
Um, well, you know, that's an interesting one because they tend to be this person that we're talking about is more people oriented
Okay.
because they like to inspire people. They're very relationship focused,
Hmm.
um, opposed to less about the task as the priority. It's more like the people as the priority.
Hmm.
And so they
Okay.
often have the tendency to prioritize the team dynamics or cohesion, you know, the morale of what's going on. Is everybody happy? Is everybody enjoying, you know, their
Right.
work?
The chatty patties of the group.
Well, you know, and we need to have them because
Right.
they really excel in communication. They have
Yes.
a way of resonating with whoever they're talking to, especially at the moment. They're very
Right.
charismatic. Their leadership is charismatic. They're very engaging. They're very capable of motivating other people just through
Hmm.
their work. And
Right.
that's just kind of the style of leadership that is because they tend to connect better
Hmm.
with the team member more than the team project.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah. And so, what about their strengths? What does that look like?
Okay. Um, well, as we are mentioning, it is that trust. They have a way
Mm.
of creating a trust amongst the team
Okay.
member, more rapport, if you will.
Mm.
They they can and again, this is a leadership style. It's just kind of what happens to come natural, but they can create a welcoming environment. In other
Okay.
words, the team member has a better opportunity to feel safe, a little more open to share their ideas. So there's a strength of this leadership style
Okay.
because they can allow people to voice their concerns because
Right.
again they want to inspire and so by that inspiration, yeah, I got an idea where, you know,
Yeah.
maybe direct, let's get it done. The team
Like,
member might not feel
that's
like it's
not on the
that.
list. That one's not on the list. It's not going to make the
Yeah,
cut, friend.
yeah, right. Um, Maybe another strength would be the ability to
Mm.
lift the team member up. In other words, not
Okay.
more, they're more motivating, they're more encouraging, so they don't
Okay.
put a lot of pressure on the team member, which of course they're encouraging. They're almost by default optimistic, even in,
Right.
you know, in desperate situations. No, we can do this. They inspire people,
Yeah.
and it gets people to do the best. And the thing about leadership is we're always inspiring, we're always motivating, we're always influencing. And so we need those different leadership styles
Right. We
to
do.
really to create the team dynamics. We may have a
Uh,
one person in charge, but if we're all functioning within the team using our leadership styles, the team itself has a better opportunity to move forward.
right. Right. And when you have those layers, different people that are thriving in all those areas, you make a cohesive unit that's really going to
Mhm.
move the vision the mission, the project, whatever that is, it really does move it forward because
Hmm.
it does take so many different people, so many different styles of leadership to come together, right?
Hmm.
To
Hmm.
bring it forward. All right, what are those weaknesses then? Let's kind of like get the flip side of that, and
Of
then we'll
course.
really start wrapping it up. We're gonna have to probably, looks like this is gonna be a two-parter, guy, where we'll maybe have to get the supportive and contemplative next time. But I also think we need to land on some days I can be an inspirational leader. And some days I
Hmm.
can put on the frosting and be really supportive. And so I'm sure that we want to include a discussion really about that blended relationship, but a
Absolutely.
blended leader, if you will.
Mhm.
Anyway, so let's get back to those weaknesses.
Well, and again, always remembering weakness is not necessarily a negative word.
Yes.
It's an indicator of our strengths. But if
Yes.
those are our strengths, then potential weaknesses would be a struggle with being very decisive.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
because they prioritize harmony, they prioritize fun, if you will, keeping the atmosphere light, and it can be tough for them to make very unpopular decisions.
Yes.
You
I
know,
can see
getting
that.
to be very, they can delay the decisiveness, which can ultimately affect the team in a negative outcome because we still have to get the productivity. You know, whether
Right.
it's ministry, organization, business, any kind of a nonprofit organization, the principles of leadership are the same.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. This is some good stuff. And I like especially that you're pointing out that these are just that self-awareness that we really need to be self-aware of. If this is your strong type of leadership, the direct person, these are really the things you thrive in, and these are the things we need to pay attention to, right?
hmm.
And
Hmm.
so that we are communicating well, that we are building that team culture, that we are lifting other people up, and vice
Hmm.
versa. And so I like the way you're wording that, because you're right. So often people think, what are your weaknesses? And they think that that is a negative thing. No, being self-aware and recognizing where you're not always on your A game, because I can be inspirational, but I gotta work at it. And
Yeah,
should I be? Absolutely, I should. Right? It's that
absolutely.
personal responsibility to grow
Mhm.
in all the areas of our leadership. So I really like how you've broken it down into, okay, here's the direct. These are the things that really point to that direct person, leadership style, their strengths, what do they need to pay attention to? And we've been
Yeah,
able to tackle the inspirational leader as well. And so, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're catching it on Facebook or wherever you're finding this, I'm going to ask you, do you relate to either of those leadership styles? Be sure to drop that in the chat. Send us an email. Get in touch with us. We want some feedback. I want to know if you're a direct leader, an inspirational leader, or are you on the edge of your seat to learn more about that supportive and contemplative leader as well. And so I really think that we've kind of unpacked these two very well, and we'll pick
well,
this
there's
up
so much
at
more,
our,
of course, we can always dive into,
well, of
on
course.
this. But I guess time is our limit,
So any final thoughts?
Yeah, let me just say one maybe closing thought with all of
Sure.
this is knowing your style really isn't about putting yourself in a category or a label or limiting. It's really about that revelation of, okay, this is why I flow this way. This is
Yes.
why I'm comfortable leading this way. And then getting that insight to your strengths, as we were talking earlier, then we can begin to realize this is just natural. This is my
Right.
natural approach to leadership. Like you said, maybe your natural approach to leadership is more direct, but we know we can dive into
Yes.
being more inspirational, especially if it means that's what the team member needs. And so
Exactly.
we just got two styles we covered today. We'll look into the other two, and then we, like you say, maybe we'll dive into how we can blend those in together through our leadership, which is influence, it's motivation, and how are we
Yes.
motivating one another at the different levels of our life today.
Exactly. Wow, such great stuff today. It is always a joy to get together with you, Dr. Guy, to tackle whatever we're going to talk about each week. It's so good. And so, guys, we're looking forward to you tuning in again very soon to get part two of our leadership discussion. See you next time.